Hey, Houston's in the house. We know something about...
Dave, great to have you here.
We know something about NASA. It's in our backyard.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope you do.
I want to start from the very beginning with you. Your history as a historian for NASA. Where did you get interested in aeronautics?
Well, my mom tells me that I mostly wanted to be a dump truck driver until I was 4 years old and saw John Glenn's flight on TV, and I was hooked. I mean, I wanted to go off and be an astronaut and get a test pilot, all that stuff.
What exactly does a historian, what does your job involve?
Well, NASA's had a history program since 1959, a year after the organization was founded. And our goal is to preserve NASA's history, make sure it's kept and available, to study it and provide lessons learned from the history, and then to communicate it to the public in book format or online on the web at nasa.gov or right here.
When I walked in and I introduced myself from Houston, Texas, you had a big smile on your face. Of course, Houston being a big part of the space program. But here's a question, as a Houstonian, I'm a native, why is it that when the rockets leave Canaveral, which is where we're at today, it's handed over to Houston control?
That's a long tradition dating back to the Gemini program, actually. Initially, mission control was here in Florida for the initial Mercury missions and the first Gemini mission, first human Gemini mission. But the plan all along was to build the facility in Houston, was the Manned Spacecraft Center at the time, now Johnson Space Center. And that was the plan. And in order to centralize all the operations, they built a purpose-built facility there in Houston to do that. So mission control winds up moving from here to Houston. But the launch operation is really a very intense operation. You need people on site to do that. So launch controls here, mission controls in Houston.
As a Houstonian, I've always wondered that, and I said, today is my day to finally get that answer. What is the most interesting, I know this is a loaded question, the most interesting thing that you've run across in all your research?
The most interesting thing, wow, there are so many things that interest me as a historian at NASA. But I think one of the things that, to me, that comes out particularly in this movie is that people don't remember how the world was back in the 60s. We sort of look back at Apollo and think, this is a great achievement and everybody was in favor of it and they had this unlimited budget. And in fact, that wasn't actually the case at all. As you'll see in the movie, there were people who didn't like the space program. The budget was being cut. Even as we were heading to the moon, the budget was already going down. Space was a lot harder than everybody thought it was in retrospect.